Hello, winners. It's Michael Rice, aka Mr. Today You Win, because today you live. And this is episode 5 of the Today You Win Personal Growth and Success series, Accessing Your Full Potential. Do you believe in personal development? Do you believe in self? Do you believe in getting better, but you fully don't know how? We can do some amazing things when we come together. And I got family talking about a dream chaser. My brother, my friend, Robert Price, aka Focus Academy. Let's go. So I'm super excited. Rob, the floor is yours, man. Just how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing amazing. I'm glad to be here. I was excited when you reached out to say, "Hey, let's set this up. Let's take this time to converse." That's why I love podcasting so much. It's simply a conversation. But I'm just excited to be here. I'm excited what you're gonna pull out of me during this interview time, and I'm ready to go.
Yeah, man. We over the years, man, we even growing up, we had developed a friendship just on a whole nother level. And what you've been doing for just your coaching and just your platform has been amazing, man. So, and I told you I wanted to reach out, and I always say, man, these is not people that I see on Instagram. These are people that actually know this in my backyard, man. So just giving you a platform to kind of share your story, it's amazing, man. So just tell the people a little bit about you, a little bit about who you are, and just walk us through that.
Yeah. So I'll start here and then I'll work my way back. So I'm a
Word.
student. I'm a student affairs professional transformed into a work from anywhere business consultant. So I spent about 7+ years professionally in student affairs until I reached a point where I was working. I felt like I was working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, didn't have really any time to give to my family. And when you look at the hours I was working compared to the salary I was making, I was making pennies for my time. And, that wasn't okay with me. So I looked my wife in the eye and I told her, hey, this is, I feel ordinary. I feel like we're living below where God truly wants us to live. And ever since that day, it started me down this path of personal development. And man, that's where the journey began for me. Because truly, I feel like everything I'm doing in business now is a reflection of what I've been able to do to develop myself personally. And that was the key, right? Because then I was just able to help other people overcome challenges that I had in that transition. And that's simply what I walk people through on a day-to-day basis. So uh, yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Awesome, man. I just think that, and then kind of tell us how that shift, or what kind of hurdles that you uh, what kind of hurdles transpired when you decided to make that jump.
Yeah. So for me, the first hurdle was I remember that same year where I talked to my wife. Uh, I had a goal at the beginning of that year to wake up at 5 a.m. every day, because what I realized is I had things that I wanted to do, but I knew unless I woke up at this time to give myself space before all the madness started for the day, I would never be able to reach my full potential. So I struggled with that up until March. I didn't wake up at that consistent time like I wanted to. But then a friend of mine introduced me to a book, and I've since passed this book along and introduced it to yourself. But The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. So funny thing, my colleague introduces this book to me, and when I have that enough is enough moment, that's the first book I go to because I know that's the first hurdle that I have to overcome waking up when I'm supposed to wake up. And I read that book, and that helped me to get over the hump of waking up on time, like setting my alarm across the room. Soon as I wake up, cutting the lights on in the bathroom, washing my face, and getting ready, and that whole system that he put together, the bedtime affirmations, like that was the first hurdle that that it was for me. And I know that might not sound deep to people. Like I'm expecting, what's the what's the big thing? But for me, that's what it was: waking up when I wanted to wake up.
Yeah, man, that miracle morning, man. I mean, that it's just got bars all the way through that book. And I think when you had posted it, you know, Brian Tracy says all great truths are simple, but it's the accountability and the self discipline as following those steps.
Mhm.
And with the miracle morning, why did that method work for you? I mean, there's so many methods and people talk about secrets, but why was
Yeah.
that so pivotal for you?
Yeah, that method worked for me because it was the first piece of content that I had come across that addressed the mechanics of waking up early, right? Versus just motivation or, you know, mindset stuff. Cause I really wanted it, right? I really wanted to change my situation, but I don't know that I had the mechanics of good waking up habits to really do it consistently. So it was that. It was the how he broke down the mechanics in the book of, hey, here's what you want to do if you want to wake up at that time. That made all the difference. So when he walked through, all right, the bedtime affirmation, so really priming yourself at night for, hey, here's the headspace I want to be going to sleep so that I can leap out of bed in the morning in anticipation for what's ahead of me that day, all the way to putting the phone across the room or alarm, even if it's not on your phone. Uh, and, I can't just put my hand to the side and hit snooze with that. So I had to wake up, and where we were living at the time, I could put the phone right in our bathroom. So literally, I would wake up and walk into the bathroom, cut and close the door, cut the lights on, and turn the alarm off. So I was like in a woke state immediately. I thrusted myself into that, and so that was the difference for me, the mechanics.
Man, I think that's powerful. And here's the burning question, man. What motivates you to work, my friend?
So going back to the response I just gave, and this may not sound like a popular response, but for me, it's habits are my key to motivation. And there's a quote that says, uh, there's a quote that says, motivation will get you started, but habits will keep you going. Right.
Bars.
So for me, I think, yeah, all of this stuff is important, right? What you want, like, of course, it motivates me to provide the lifestyle that my family deserves, to provide the income, the freedom that we deserve. Like that's the motivation behind me even starting on this journey. But now that I'm on the journey, right? So that is number one, right? Figuring out what you want. But for me, now that I'm on the journey, I recognize the power of habits so much and how it, regardless of, so I could take two people, right? And one person could have really written out all of what they want and they could be very clear on that. But if they have habits that don't support their wants, they're not going to go anywhere compared to a person who they maybe didn't write down all of what they want, but they just have some really strong habits. They're going to be a lot further along than that person who was able to dream big, but they weren't able to, habitualize the movements that they needed to move towards that consistently. So for me, it's habits.
Oh man, that's such a great point, man. And being that you have your platform focus academy, uh, what tips can you give to other people, man? What's like some nuggets, or people always have those 3 ways to do something. You talked about habits, but what are some other tips that can help people go to another level?
Yeah. So John Maxwell, he says this quote about, if you're a three in an area, that you shouldn't work hard at that area to become a five, because essentially people still don't pay for a five, right? But he said instead, focus on the areas where you're a seven or eight in, and bump those up to a nine or 10. And people pay for that. So I do think, we've heard this many times, but I believe it down in my belly. Um, People spend too much time on areas that they're not strong in, right? Due to comparison, like looking around and saying, hey, I like this person, or I want to do something like that person, they end up just on a road that doesn't belong to them. And so when that happens, you're not eliminating lack in your life. You're not eliminating poverty in your life, because you're not providing the type of value that you were created to produce, right? Yeah. So the thing is, Miles Monroe, he said this a long time ago. He said, poverty is not the problem. Poverty is not a problem. It's a result, right?
Mm.
And it's a result of two things. It's a result of you not knowing what your what your purpose is, your gift is, if you will, that thing that you add value to the world with, more than anything else, right? Because we all have different things we're talented at, but then there's one thing that's like, nobody could do that like you, right? Or very few people can do it like you. But so number one is the result of you not knowing what your gift is. But then on the flip side of that, it's the world, the marketplace, not knowing what your gift is, right? So if we could actually solve those two problems, if you could find out what it is, and then you could package yourself and position yourself in such a way where now the marketplace recognizes that, it's a wrap. You'll always be able to attract to you.
And I want to shift gears just a little bit, man, because you talk about the marketplace. And about I want to say 2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, about or maybe a month, you had a course out to help people in the marketplace if they want to develop, coaching. So just kind of walk us through that just kind of a ABC step on just using your expertise as a way to benefit you in the market.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of things involved in that, but the first thing I will start with is there's there's what I'm calling your effortless expertise vehicle, right? We all have different things we're talented at, but there is something that you do best with the least amount of effort, right? And so there's a system for actually figuring that out. So a couple of components that are involved in that are, number one is your your childhood, like remembering what made you special as a kid. Like there's certain things that people might have always pointed out to you when you were a kid, whether it's teachers, peers, family members. Like there's some things that were true of you when you were a kid, and I always think about how really powerful that is, because when you were a kid, the world didn't have a chance to cloud your vision of anything.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like you were literally able to, like I look at my son now, he just turned 5, but he's clearly an extrovert. He likes to teach, he likes to talk about dinosaurs. Like he's, whenever he's around other kids, he's always ends up being in more of a leadership type role. Like he likes, being around the other kids. And that's something he was born with, right? My wife is an introvert,
Mhm.
and he spent most of his time with her because she stayed home for the first couple of years of him, being here. And so, he spent a lot of time around her, yet he was born an extrovert, regardless of who he spent, time with.
Mhm.
And so I see that in him. So I know if he grows up and he's working, with the lab coat on somewhere, then he's missed the boat, because he's supposed to be around people. He's supposed to be leading people. He's supposed to be interacting with people. I can clearly see that right now, right? But I think this is an element that we forget about as adults, because there's all these different messages about, this is this field has the money, or this industry is where you can make it. But all of that is really hogwash, because even if it's an industry that's making a lot of money, if you're not built for the work that is necessary for you to be successful in that industry, you want one of the ones to make the money from that, right? It has to align with your strengths. It has to align with what you do well. So it's number one is your childhood. Number two, it is what I call data driven self awareness,
Mhm.
right? Like, so I'm certified in the DISC assessment. So just coaching people, walking through that particular assessment with people. But the DISC assessment, one of the things that it does, and assessments like it, because I love Myers Briggs as well, Enneagram, some of those different assessments. But for in particular, the DISC assessment, what it does is, I had a pastor who said, the best thing about you is also the worst thing about you,
Wow.
right? so so this assessment shows you, like, hey, this is the best thing about you, but here's the backside of that, right? Here's how people are experiencing you that is not so positive. These are the things that people are saying about you when you're not in the room, right? And so when you see it like that, and it's not feelings based, but it's data driven, because what we here's the thing. If one thing is true of you, the opposite is probably true of you too. So for example, if I'm a highly social person, I'm good impromptu in the moment, I'm good just kind of thinking on my feet really, really well, more than likely, the details and the planning, I'm not as strong at, right? Because that's how the creator designed us.
Mhm.
Where if you're really strong in something, it doesn't mean that you're incompetent in the other area. It just means that that's not your natural flow. Like
Mhm.
that's not your natural state of being. So you got to come up with a plan for that. So what it helps people to do, once you figure out, okay, this is who I am, not what I'm the story I'm telling myself in my head, but here's what the data is showing. Then it helps you to lean into your strengths. So just what I was saying, it helps you to like go harder into that. But then it also helps you to whatever you need improvement on, you do one of three things that I encourage people to do. You either delegate, you either delegate, automate, or eliminate that particular thing, right? If it's something that you're not strong at. And so when you're setting up whatever your business journey is, those are elements you need to keep in mind. But that would be the second thing. And then the last thing that I will give on this particular point is your personal and professional experiences. And I think that nothing you've done up until this point is a throwaway, right? Nothing was a waste because it all helped you to shape you to be who you are today,
That's a
right?
good
The
point.
skills you have, the 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 neighborhood you grew up in, like it all crafts who you are. And it's the reason why though people say, oh, the market is oversaturated. Um, it's the reason why you can go into that market and create a new business and people love it because they want you. There's something about your background, something about the way you do it, right? Somebody can come out, there's been restaurants coming out forever. Someone can come out with a restaurant tomorrow and kill it
Mm-hmm.
because they're doing something specific that people are looking for. And so that's my encouragement to everyone listening. Like, don't get caught up in the oversaturation of the market. But if you're able to identify what you're strong at and you're convicted about that, and there's a market that is waiting for what specifically you want to do, then just go for it. Don't talk yourself out of it. But those are a few elements that I would say people need to get clear about. And the thing that an easy activity that everyone can do right now, listening to this, you
Give
can
it
go
to us.
you can go to the like 3 to 5 people you're closest to, right? Or just 3 to 5 people that would give you the best responses for this question. But ask them. It could be family or friends, but ask them, what do you think I do best with the least amount of effort? Right? With either that question or you could say, hey, when I walk into a room, what walks in? Right? Those are two elements of the way you can ask the question and just see what they say and see if there's any patterns that you can find in what they said. And then based on your self-reflection, okay, here's what I think my gift is, right? And so that's those are
Man,
those are points on there.
bars. Hey man, look, I really hone myself on two people, and one of them is Brian Tracy, man. And I call you, you're the Brian Tracy man for the coaching, man. Because you just, I mean, it's so broken down, and it's so like so calm, but it's so powerful, man, and it makes it stick. So, definitely, man. I always look. I said, man, Rob gonna let you know. He's gonna let you know so calmly, but it's like it hits you at a different level. So,
Mhm.
man, and I often say that the people's chief aim this year should be peace of mind, and along with that, happiness, man. So tell me why you would say peace of mind and happiness is so vital in the world today.
It's so vital because it puts things in perspective for you in terms of whatever you're going after, whatever you're chasing. Like, we're talking about being a dream chaser. I think one of the poisons that are involved in dream chasing is always wanting more, right?
Mm.
Never being in a content place, never being satisfied with the progress that you've experienced. So one of the practices I have in my life to make sure that I maintain my peace of mind and my happiness is this gratitude practice that I have every morning. So I literally, what I do now is I line up, let's say, these 5 areas of my life. So physical, spiritual, mental, financial, relational, right? Those are 5 areas that I write down. And I write down one thing that I'm most grateful for in each of those areas. And then what I do is I have a section that says, how does this make me feel? Right? The fact that I'm grateful for these things, what do each of those things make me feel? Right? And I write that down, those feelings. And I'm telling you that right there, it resets your system.
Mm-hmm.
That now you're viewing your world through the eyes of the things you wrote down. Because it's one of the first things you're doing in the morning versus, a lot of times people are so busy and then they're like, hey, when I look back, I was, I should have been grateful for XYZ. But having that type of practice in your life, literally every day you can wake up and be grateful. And what I do is I say, in the last 24 hours,
Mm.
what am I most grateful for about these things?
Good.
So now it doesn't get stale, right? Because every single day that I wake up, there are, these fresh things that I'm thinking about in each one of these areas. So that's the one practice that I would say is a staple for me to maintain my peace of mind, for sure.
That's good, man. That's great. And so, Focus Academy, man. Where do you see it going? For about 3 to 5 years from now. What are your goals?
Man, so 3 to 5 years from now, it'll definitely be a multi-million dollar platform, for sure. Just helping people all over the world who are sick and tired of being in a situation where they're underpaid, underappreciated, overworked, burnt out, stuck, all those things, giving them a system that they could literally plug into where they could clarify their expertise and they could monetize it, right? But not just make a couple dollars from it. Like monetize it in a way where it becomes a wildly profitable business that could aid them in walking away from whatever job or experience they're connected to now that they don't want to be connected to. And so I see Focus Academy doing that for thousands of people, 3 to 5 years from now. And that's the vision I have. Because ultimately, I know you asked about 3 to 5 years, but I'll go out even further than that.
Mm. Take us there,
And
man.
yeah, but even further than that, this I really have a heart for this 16 to 25-year-old group, like that. Really, I'm trying to figure it out. I'm just leaving the grades where I was just kind of going through school, and now I'm in a position where they're asking me, "Hey, what do you want to major in college? What direction you want to go from here? You're gonna be high school in a couple of years, and even those who have already left high school or even gone to college, but now they're out of college, and they're like, I feel like I just wasted my time. I don't know where to go from here. But like creating a platform for youth and that, youth in that container to be able to use the same processes and systems that are in Focus Academy, like right out the gate in their life. So now they're not wasting years trying to figure out what it is that they should be doing, that they should be focusing their time. And I realize there may be some adjustment that people still go through. Like you might not pick the thing that you do forever at 16. However, through the principles that are shared in Focus Academy, what will happen is they'll be so close to the thing that the work they'll do leading up to whatever they ultimately end up adjusting themselves to, it will be more in line. You know what I mean? It will be more, it's kind of like when people, when they have braces, the liner is kind of like that, where slowly but surely you end up getting to the point where you want your teeth to be, right? But they may be so out of whack at you need this liner to slowly bring it in. So really, I never used that analogy before, but just really bringing things in for people in that age group where they have hope and they feel refreshed at that age versus burdened and depressed about, hey, I don't, they're telling me I need to know where I'm going, but I don't.
Man, that's no man. So I'm gonna take it a little further. I always say, man, 10 years you will have arrived. The question is where. So
Yeah.
I think that's dope. And I may be going back a little, but man, that word focus. Where did that just pop from? Because it's so many. Like I said, the market can be saturated, and there's so many courses that you can take. And often, sometimes people become professional, students instead of taking action. But where did that word like focus just shoot out from? And then you just like, man, that's it.
Yeah. So for me, man, I just realized that people were focused
Mm-hmm.
too much on learning. And I know that might sound backwards, but what I mean by that is I think people just, there's always another course, there's always another webinar, there's always another something that people felt like, hey, I need to do this other thing. There's a certification that I need, right? And my thing is, you don't need another thing. You have is in your hands. Like,
Oh, bars.
yeah,
Oh, say that
yeah,
again. Oh my
yeah.
god.
What you need is in your hands. And
Mm.
you just need an opportunity, or you need the discipline to actually lock in and focus long enough on what's in your hands to position that thing well enough where now you are blowing up that one thing. Like I had my book that came out recently at the end of last year, In Focus, How to Stop Side Hustling and Make One Business Pop. You just need to learn how to make that one thing pop, right? Because when we think about candles on a cake, you light one candle, and that one candle can literally light all of the other candles on the cake, right? When you talk about multiple streams of income and things of that nature, right? Like that one stream can literally start to create multiple streams. But the way people approach multiple streams of income typically is trying to have multiple streams at one time. But what they end up with is multiple drips and nothing. You know what I mean? Nothing becomes
Man,
a
you giving us
stream.
bars, man. God.
Yeah, but nothing becomes a stream. And so now, forever, for the rest of their life, keep juggling all of these drips to try to chase and fill that space. But it's not until they focus, that's where that word comes from. It's not until they focus on the main, really the main line, that boom, they can dig into that, right? Because if we hit we got a tree. If we hit that tree trunk in a different spot every day, we're probably never going to be able to bring it. But if we go out there every day and we hit it at the same point, eventually that tree is going to fall. So I guess what you could say is what I do is help people when they say, "Hey, this is what I want. I want to monetize my expertise and I want to turn it into a wildly profitable business." We're just locking in on that, and we're not going to move until we do that. And that's where that's where focus comes in, because Bill Gates, Bill Gates and Warren Buffett and Bill Gates' dad, they were having a dinner one day. Uh, and I don't know how true this is. This could be totally made up, but if it is true, I think it's the most it's what I would expect them to say based on my journey thus far. But someone, I think Bill Gates' mom had asked all three guys sitting at the table, "What do you believe is the key to success?" And all three of them said at once, "Focus." And so, these are wildly successful, dudes from a financial standpoint. And if their thing is focus, then I'm gonna just go with what they saying. I'm
Exactly, man.
gonna
And
go with that.
yeah, where can they get the book from? Because I know you had that book come out. We can put it at the bottom of the screen, but where can they get that book from?
Yeah, it's on Amazon. And the link, I'll share the link with you.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, share
just
with me. They'll be able to see it at the bottom.
yeah, it's just
Yeah.
my book dot two forward slash and focus. But I'll share that with you.
Awesome, man. Hey, focus, and you just giving us bars, man. So, what do you want people to take away from this interview, man? Just just one major key. Just say, hey, look, whatever you have is in your hands. Now, this is it.
What I want to encourage people to do from this interview, but not just from this interview, from every piece of content that you take in from this moment forward, right? I want this to be something you carry forward in your life. And what it is I said a lot of stuff, but what is the one thing that resonated with you the most from from your time listening? And my encouragement is to literally take that step, because I read a book in 2019 called or 2020 rather, called Outwitting the Devil. And in that book, one of the quotes that Napoleon Hill says is that habits attract their relatives. And it's the same thing about taking a step. One step leads to another step. So lock in on, because there's people listening that might have connected with something different that I said, right? So whatever the thing is that you connected with, actually take action on that step, and then just keep keep your keep putting one foot in front of the other on that on that journey. And what I would say to add to support that is mentorship over anything else on this journey, right? Like locking in on, I would say, the three main voices that you're like, this is where I'm getting my self improvement. Like you talked about Brian Tracy and maybe some other people, right? Like lock in on the three people where you're like, this is where I'm getting my food from. Because what happens is there's always, like I said, one more motivational talk, one more TED talk, one more course, one more webinar that you can go to. But get with those three people and give them a chance. It could be one, but I know some people, you need a little bit of variety sometimes. But those 1 to 3 people, and give them a chance. Lock in on, if they have a course, if they have a challenge, if they have a community or whatever it is, lock in with them for a year and see what you're able to build in that time. And you'll be surprised the progress you're able to make by locking into something versus people who are just all over the place, just trying new things, and only 7% of people who get a course actually finish the course. So You could put yourself in you could put yourself in that group, and then separate yourself in life.
Man, so powerful, man. So, and where can people, they want to get in contact with you, social media, man, just kind of walk us through that. Where can they find more information about you and Focus Academy?
Absolutely. So on social media platforms, I'm at RP Focus Academy, and truly, if people want to, that's the best way.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I'm all over from that standpoint, and by hopping on one of those platforms, Instagram in particular, hey, let's book. If you're really serious about figuring this thing out, if you're really serious about going from where you are to where you want to be, then let's hop on a call. Let's take the next step, because let's eliminate taking another course or going on another webinar or doing another thing. Let's just get on a track where we can start to build momentum and you know blow things out of the water.
Let's go, people. Well, you heard it from here, man. Rob, man, I'm just super excited, man. Everything you gave us, man, just really going to really help us elevate onto another level. So you hear him, whatever in your hands, focus. Don't just become a professional student, but take action. I say motive plus action equals motive action. So let's definitely do that, man. Once again, Rob, I appreciate it. Um, and we're gonna take this thing to another level because 5 years from now, and you'll be able to watch this and say, look, whatever I spoke, and whatever people was able to listen to, man, came to pass, man. So I'm super excited. Much great success to you on your journey. And we'll definitely link up in the near future, my friend.
Love it, love it. Hey, you, Mike. Same. It was a blessing to be, on the platform. Thank you for having me. Thank you for taking this time. I don't take it for granted, and you know, I'm looking forward to having you on the Focus Academy podcast.
Let's get
So
it, man.
let's
We can
do
share
it.
definitely, man. We can share a platform. So people, remember the goals of your future where God is taking you will have a different crowd at the finish line than those walking with you today, and it's forever and always will be. Today you win because today you live.